You all might want to sit down. What I have to say right now might be a little cringe.
I was going to try and make a fancy smart introduction like a video essay, but what really happened here is I have depression and ADHD, and I've been spiraling a little bit, and I got hyperfixated on these interviews with Elon Musk, who I believe, stick with me if you're skeptical, is a modern-day cult leader. One of the most annoying and inconvenient things about cult leaders is that while they do love talking and attention, they hate Frost-Nixonian hard-hitting interviews. So while there are hundreds of hours of, say, L. Ron Hubbard waxing poetic about thetans and self-hypnosis, we never got to see L. Ron Hubbard subjected to the full Frost-Nixon. Maybe I should explain that term. Frost-Nixon is a 2008 film by Ron Howard, adapting a British stage play of the same name. The film dramatizes a 1977 interview between British television personality David Frost and disgraced former US President Richard Nixon, whose involvement in the Watergate scandal had led to his resignation 3 years earlier. Anyway, Frost-Nixon is the kind of tired adult sitting down and talking thriller that I can really get behind. And it's been really stuck in my head lately because, first of all, well, it is a little quaint that in 2008 you can make a whole movie about how groundbreaking it was that a guy was able to get a president to say,
"I'm saying that when the president does it, that means it's not illegal."
And quaint, I think I said earlier. And second of all, the Frost-Nixon interview at the time in 1977 really wasn't this earth-shattering, paradigm-shifting interview. Now, it is true that Nixon said that thing.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal. By definition. Exactly.
But by the time this interview happened, the Watergate tapes were already out, so Nixon did not have much of a reputation left to salvage, said the New York Times in its 2008 review of the film. In real life, the fallen leader fell no further, despite the choking close-ups, beads of sweat, agonized stammers, weird digressions, and outrageous pronouncements, and the reviews were mixed. People watched it, it got attention, but as always, the news cycle moved on. It wasn't until decades later that anyone thought it was a conversation worth writing a play about. But an interesting thing about Elon Musk and a lot of his billionaire friends, and even the president, is that they were famous and in the media doing interviews for such a long time, even before they became presidential power people, the Triple P. So maybe we've already had a Frost-Nixonian hard-hitting interview with Elon Musk, and we just don't know about it yet. We wouldn't think to make a movie about it yet. These days, there's no reason for Elon Musk to subject himself to a hard-hitting interview. He won everything, the whole world and all the money and all the power. But there was a time when he almost wasn't that guy, when everything was falling apart, and it did. It all fell apart, live on this stage.
You say I've condemned anti-Semitism, but do you ever go...
Yeah, I said I can condemn... I literally... Yeah.
Well, no.
But also, hard-hitting interviews are really fun. I think of that ContraPoints line.
The entertainment is... you get to watch a worm try to wriggle off a hook.
It's great. It's like a drama video, but about a thing that actually matters. At least I'm going to try and make it seem like it matters, because really I'm going to get hyper-fixated on a lot of things and go down a little rabbit hole, probably to the detriment of the channel.
People are so mean online.
Now, if you are a little skeptical of me referring to Elon Musk as a cult leader, maybe you're just a casual fan of his, or maybe you're a really big fan of his, I hope you hear me out because I am going to show my work as we go along. But I will say up top that Elon has a cult of personality, at least in my opinion, which I'll demonstrate throughout the rest of the video. And a cult of personality is different from a high-control, high-demand religion, which I normally talk about on this channel. In the age of the internet, it's really easy for somebody to develop a cult of personality without the people who adhere to the cult leader's beliefs having to go to church or anything. And, lest we forget, people who are in a cult don't know it. And maybe you think I'm in a cult for just accusing Elon Musk of being a cult leader, and also I hope you listen to the video to see if that's true. I believe there are 3 Frost-Nixon quality interviews with Elon Musk, and in this video we're going to talk about number 3 in my list of 3. Now, to keep things fun, in my neurodivergent sense of that word, I'm not going to show any clips from the future Frost-Nixon interviews, so you'll have to just wait on the edge of your seat. So we're going to start with what I thought was going to be number 1 when I embarked on this important project, DealBook Summit, Andrew Ross Sorkin v. Elon Musk, November 29th, 2023.
You said my mind is a storm. I don't think most people would want to be me. They may think they want to be me, but they don't know. They don't understand.
Andrew Ross Sorkin is this guy. He's also a TV personality on one of those CNBC money shows about the stock market. The context here is that Elon Musk, at the moment he walked out on this stage, was in the biggest trouble he had ever been in up to that point in his career. And even then, it was a crowded race. Musk had been flirting with anti-Semitic conspiracies throughout the COVID lockdowns, but hid behind a 4chan mask of ironic edge. They were just memes, he would say. This was back before Elon had become meme.
I am become meme.
But Elon got out over his skis with this tweet here. I'm going to be calling it a tweet because I don't know the right verb for an X. He tweeted this a week before the Andrew Ross Sorkin interview we're going to be combing through, and there was no plausible deniability or 4channing with this one. Some crazy Nazi guy tweeted this thing on the screen here, which I am not going to read out loud, to which Elon replied, "You have said the actual truth." This tweet was a breaking point for a lot of advertisers on Twitter. Elon's takeover of the platform had been a PR nightmare and a nightmare for users of Twitter, which we'll talk about later, and this overt Nazi apologia was an excuse for a lot of advertisers to dive off what was already seen as a sinking ship. Because it was. This ship was sinking. On the heels of Musk's tweet was a brutal report by Media Matters, which showed that under Musk's headship, ads for companies like Apple and IBM were being shown directly alongside posts engaging in Holocaust denial and white nationalist conspiracies. The New York Times reported that the mass exodus of advertisers would cost X up to $75 million. Well, the first incredible thing that happens in this interview is Elon addressing all of that. He was now the CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter, three of the most consequential companies in the world, and Elon appeared to be losing his mind in front of the aforementioned world. So his ask here today was to just not come across like a crazy person losing their mind.
There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
Hey, Bob.
And this is the lesser of the three interviews, by the way, but holy shit, right? He just instantly loses his mind here.
Go fuck yourself.
Now, a pattern that we're going to observe throughout our Frost-Nixon triptych is that Elon always thinks that people are going to respond to what he says with delight, awe, or anger. Like, he thinks he's funny. He thinks he comes off as brave. He thinks that his threats are intimidating, not pathetic and sad. And yet, somehow, he is always surprised when people don't react the way he expects.
So I guess we might make some mistakes. Who knows?
Are you serious?
Nobody's perfect.
Look at you.
No, yeah.
Psyops.
Right. I couldn't really even follow exactly what it was you were trying to express there.
Go fuck yourself.
He is a man, if nothing else, incapable of learning lessons. In fact, is learning lessons from day to day. Andrew Ross Sorkin is great here. I've never seen his other work. I don't watch CNBC because I don't understand how stocks work or how to buy one or what I would do with it. But at a time when a lot of pundits, if not most pundits, are content to just sit there and nod along while whatever politician spews their lie-filled talking points at them, Sorkin is very agile. He's quick on his feet.
Well, we'll do Israel in just a moment.
And I have no problem being hated, by the way.
I hear
Hate
you.
away.
Well, but you know what? Let's go straight to that then for a second.
And he'll try a few different angles to get to the same question, as we'll see. But right out of the gate, Elon has thrown him a curveball by way of randomly choosing to make a complete ass out of himself and make international stock market altering news in the span of like 5 seconds. You can see him change gears in real time here.
Let's go straight to that then for a second.
All right, I know that I've really just been nitpicking everything Elon says, but this is kind of an extra nitpicky nit to pick, and so we do have to quickly just go into a corner that sometimes we have to go to on the channel.
Why is it necessary to be so picky, to be so fussy?
Okay, so Elon gets this look in his eyes sometimes where he really feels like he's cooked up a sassy, awesome idea. This is what I call the little stinker face.
Gosh, you stinker.
He gets a little stinker face. He's about to be audacious and disruptive and confrontational, and people are just going to think that he's so cool when he does this. I mean, you can just see the sly look kind of creep across his face, and it just is going to keep on creeping right out of his creep mouth.
If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be beholden to those who have this view, what do you do?
F-Y.
Oh, he's so proud. He's so proud.
I understand that, but there's a reality too, right?
Uh-oh.
Yes. No.
I mean, Linda
no,
Yaccarino's right here, and she's got to sell advertising.
Absolutely. So, totally.
No, wait. Guys, you didn't understand that I was being charming? That was me being charming earlier. I was just being my little silly Elon self, doing my little jokes that I make about how you should go fuck yourself and you're extorting me for daring to take your money elsewhere. Sorkin's response to Elon's outburst is super interesting. He starts to act as Elon's therapist, someone genuinely concerned for his mental health.
we should need like a psychiatrist couch here or something.
Not going for the jugular, not kicking him in the balls while he's down, but just seemingly a little worried about Elon. And this is a dynamic that comes up in a lot of Elon interviews. Many of his interlocutors just end up worried about him.
You have once said, if I'm not in love, I cannot be happy. Are you happy at the moment?
I think there's degrees of love.
Sorkin is the best at this approach, though, from the people I've seen.
Well, let me ask you this then. There's a difference between saying I don't care if anyone likes me or they hate me.
Yeah.
But given your power and given what you have amassed and the importance you have, I would think you want to be trusted. I would think maybe you don't need to be liked or hated, but trusted matters. If X is going to become a financial platform where people are going to put their money, where the government's going to give you money for rockets, where people are going to get into the cars, they need to ultimately decide that you are, maybe they don't have to say that they love you, but that you are ultimately a decent and good human being.
Yes, I mean, I think I am.
What I like about this is in his capacity as a therapist, Andy gets across to Musk what I think a lot of people have tried to say to him, that people are concerned about Elon's behavior not because they question his commitment to free speech, but because they don't think he's a good person anymore because he's saying, you know, the kind of stuff that bad people say.
I mean, when you link to somebody who's talking about the guy who killed children in a mall in Allen, Texas, and you say something like it might be a bad psyop. I'm not quite sure what you meant, but...
Oh, in that particular case, there was
somehow that's not that.
I think it's a real weakness to want to be liked. A real weakness. I do not have that.
Now, I can tell you here that this is actually quite a change from Elon Musk's previous position.
I do like to be loved, as everyone does.
Elon Musk has changed over the years. Having watched way too many of his interviews, I can tell you that he did not used to be this brazen. He used to feign humility.
How important is making sure that people are happy a big deal for you?
I think it's very important.
You constantly seek criticism. A well thought out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold.
Now his whole persona is this fake machismo, fuck you, I don't care if I'm hated. Being hated is awesome, actually. If people hate you because you're constantly saying stuff that Nazis say, ultimately leading to doing a Nazi salute multiple times, well, that's just cool. That's just fine. You shouldn't care about that.
I don't care.
I'm sorry that I keep coming back to this word devastating, but we saw this same line of questioning in another devastating years earlier interview with 60 Minutes.
The only tweets that would have to be, say, reviewed would be if a tweet had a probability of causing a movement in the stock.
And that's it.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it's hello, First Amendment. It's like freedom of speech is fundamental.
But how do they know if it's going to move the market if they're not reading all of them before you send them?
So I guess we might make some mistakes. Who knows?
Are you serious?
This was the first real crack in the facade, as far as I can tell, where he just totally fully lost it on air and made a complete ass of himself and had to desperately try and spin it as him being awesome and strong.
I want to be clear. I do not respect the SEC. I do not respect them.
But you're abiding by the settlement, aren't you?
Because I respect the justice system.
People keep trying to tell Elon that his actions are impulsive and not befitting of somebody entrusted with that much power and money and influence.
He said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like, when you do something like that, do you think
I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially because, I mean...
Maybe they don't have to say that they love you, but that you are ultimately a decent and good human being.
Yes, I mean, I think I am, but I'm certainly not going to
do some sort of tap dance to prove to people that I am.
He's also lying about this. He absolutely is tap dancing constantly on Twitter. That's all that is. That's the only reason why he does it, is to get validation. He is now simply tap dancing for a different audience. He's done with liberal politicians, and they're done with him. So now the only people that are left are his really big tech bro fans, and they're all right-wing, and he's tip-tapping for them all the time. I mean, if this isn't tap dancing, what is it, Elon? Elon's argument is just, well, listen, if you want the best cars, you have to have me, a crazy Nazi, doing crazy things that make no sense and drive advertisers away from the platform. That's the only way to get good cars.
With respect to Tesla, we make the best cars.
Whether you hate me, like me, or indifferent, do you want the best car or do you not want the best car?
Glitch! Buffering!
Tesla is investigating how one of its cars appeared to suddenly catch fire on a busy street near Los Angeles. Cell phone video shows flames shooting out of the electric vehicle last week.
Fiery crash that left 2 men dead. The victims were in a Tesla that burned for 4 hours.
And now we want to turn to that deadly crash over the weekend involving a Tesla.
The driver was killed after the car went up in flames.
Coming up on 5:30, a warning tonight for Tesla owners or anyone considering buying one of the electric cars.
2 people were taken to hospital after the car smashed into several vehicles, then drove off a ledge.
Shoppers jumping into action to save the 2 people still trapped inside.
Local authorities say it could have been a faulty battery, but Tesla says it's still too early to know exactly what happened.
I'm sorry, but at this particular time, that's looking like a cap.
If I can't post my unhinged conspiracy theories and stolen memes from Facebook from 10 years ago, then I am not capable of making cars. Now, he's also just never capable of making cars, because Elon Musk doesn't design cars, but okay, that wasn't really the point.
So I will certainly not pander. And Jonathan, the only reason I'm here is because you are a friend. What was my speaking fee?
You're not making any. First of all, I'm Andrew, but
yeah, sorry,
it's okay. Second of all, we've known each other for a very long time.
Andrew Sorkin.
Pretty incredible, because, I mean, Andrew Ross Sorkin's name is on the background in huge letters. Elon literally just had to look where he was already looking to see the correct name. But Elon is often just in outer space somewhere else, searching for Mars up there in his head through ketamine, via ketamine usage.
And Jonathan,
first of all, I'm Andrew.
This is already a train wreck interview at a train wreck moment in Elon Musk's career. And in some desperate attempt to turn things around, he appeals to the friendship between him and Jonathan. This has to be one of the greatest moments in the history of interviews, and we're not even 10 minutes into this thing.
I think there are a lot of people who are tired, but let me go back. No.
You should hear the sketches that SNL wouldn't post, by the way. Those are really good.
Oh my God. Put a pin in this. He mentions the SNL thing out of nowhere. And why would he do this? Why would he mention the SNL thing here?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Andrew Ross Sorkin is desperately trying to understand why Elon Musk thinks it is acceptable for a massive media figure who is the public face of 3 enormously consequential companies to consistently demonstrate that he does not care what his shareholders say, he doesn't care what his advertisers say. So he clearly doesn't care about the quality of his product.
I don't care.
So you just don't care?
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay.
Why should that guy get to keep being in charge? Because increasingly, nobody trusts him. That's the subject of the inquiry here. And then he makes things 10 times worse by trying to be all buddy-buddy. They've already talked about being friends. He says the wrong name. And then, at this moment of profound embarrassment and nervous laughter, he references Saturday Night Live. Why would he do that?
You should hear the sketches that SNL wouldn't post, by the way. Those are really good.
Why would he introduce an idea all of a sudden that there were actually a lot of crazy, edgy sketches that they weren't even allowed to do? What does that have to do with misremembering this guy's name that you're talking to right now, Elon? I don't know. It seems like it haunts him. And that's what we in the biz call foreshadowing. Stay tuned.
Or fortunately or unfortunately, whatever friendship we have, not great. We don't talk to each other that much.
His hand is just directly on his testicles here. I'm actually only realizing this now. Shiny shoes, zipped up tight, gut out, prominent, Hand on testicles. Penis shape malformed, according to certain reports.
Listen,
you know,
he cannot get over it. He's so stuck. He can't stop nervous laughing after the name thing. He cannot recover from this. And this is 7 minutes into an hour and 33-minute interview. I think what Elon Musk is expecting is for Andrew Ross Sorkin to be like excited and captivated by the idea that he'll get to hear behind the scenes SNL stories like, ooh, tell me about that, when no. And so Andrew Ross Sorkin really will not let him off the hook, and the nervous laughter starts to subside as Elon realizes that he's not going to be able to quote unquote charm his way out of this one.
Let me ask you this then. Let's just go at it. Just tell me what happened. You write this tweet that says that this is the actual truth. People read that tweet.
Yes.
And they say Elon Musk is an anti-Semite. That he is riling up this base. You're hearing it from, as I said, the White House. You're hearing it from Jewish groups all over. I think Jonathan Greenblatt from the ADL is here. There's lots of people who say this. And by the way, it's not just that.
Did you read the whole thing?
I did, and that's why I want to ask you
about
about
the responses.
Excuse me?
I said more.
More responses?
Yeah, I said more than what you just read.
Yes. There was absolutely more.
Yes.
Yes. Folks like you and me who ideally are not cult leaders, we occasionally say things that are mean, and we have to apologize. Sometimes we actually intentionally want to hurt people, and so we do say a hurtful thing on purpose to hurt someone's feelings, and we just have to own up to that and admit that it was wrong. And cult leaders never, ever have to do that, and they will not do it. A cult leader can never admit that they are wrong, that they have been wrong. All they can ever concede is that they have been misinterpreted.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I did clarify almost immediately what I meant. I would say that was, if I could go back and say I should, in retrospect, not have replied to that particular person, and I should have written in greater length as to what I meant.
I did subsequently clarify it in replies, but those clarifications were ignored by the media. And essentially, I handed a loaded gun to those who hate me.
Elon Musk completely affirms a Nazi tweet saying, this is the actual truth. And then his only defense is to say, what? People just assumed when I said that I meant that it was the whole truth and that I agreed with it. But I didn't. What I did narrowly agree with was some general vibe that was adjacent to the tweet that you didn't even know about because I hadn't clarified yet. And if you would just listen to my clarifications, you would know that I am never wrong. I am just only ever on my way to clarifying why I am right.
And essentially, I handed a loaded gun to those who hate me.
And arguably to those who are anti-Semitic.
And for that, I'm quite sorry.
Oh, so he inarguably handed a gun to those who hate him. And, he thinks that Jewish people hate him. Like, Jewish liberals, Elon Musk believes, hate him because of his anti-Semitic tweets. So definitely, for sure, he handed a loaded gun to those people. And also, arguably, he handed a loaded gun to anti-Semites, but that's a little bit less important. We can skip past that.
That was not my intention.
After earlier cusping his balls for dear life, he is now making a little vagina with his hands. I don't know if there's any Freud experts in the house. I know body language experts aren't real, but there's something happening here.
So I did, post on my primary timeline to be absolutely clear that I'm not anti-Semitic. And that I, in fact, if anything, am philo-Semitic.
I have to confess, when I first watched this interview back in 2023, I had never heard the term philo-Semitic. From the context, it seems like he means I'm the opposite of an anti-Semite. But just to double check, I decided to partake in one of Elon's favorite hobbies, doing my own research. While stoned. Turns out Philosemitism is complicated. Coined in Germany in 1880 as the antonym to antisemitism, explains the 2012 book A Brief History of Philosemitism, the word Philosemitism was invented by avowed anti-Semites as a sneering term of denunciation for their opponents. Much later, when the Third Reich was eventually toppled, anti-Jewish bigotry did not disappear overnight, nor did it disappear over the last century, gestures broadly. When polite society changes, the impolite have to find clever new ways to talk about their least favorite people. So what were post-war anti-Semites to do do. With anti-Semitism publicly off limits, wrote G. Daniel Cohen of the Simon Institute, negative statements about Jews lodge themselves within an ambiguous philo-Semitic discourse. Jewish scholars regard self-professed philo-Semitism with skepticism, said Daniel Goldberg in his 1997 volume, Hitler's Willing Executioners, Ordinary Germans in the Holocaust. Philo-Semites are anti-Semites in sheep's clothing. So probably some people do say this sincerely to just mean, I'm an ally. Not everyone is aware of the historical connotation to the word. I wasn't until like 5 seconds ago. And there have been attempts to reclaim the word to a more positive connotation. The aforementioned Brief History of Philo-Semitism is such an attempt. But the authors concede that Philo-Semitism cannot and should not be neatly separated from anti-Semitism. Indeed, an intricate ambivalence combining elements of admiration and disdain, Philo-Semitism still imagines Jewish people as an other, a fundamentally different sort of human, not quite like you or me. So, you tell me, is the guy who is currently on screen flop sweating and telling people to go fuck themselves because they won't give him money after he co-signed Nazi propaganda on his public platform, the guy who will go on yet another anti-Semitic tirade just a few minutes from now, and whose first act as fake president on the day of his coronation was to Sieg Heil twice, is that guy philo-Semitic or anti-Semitic? I would argue, whatever Elon calls it, it's fucking gross.
I couldn't really even follow exactly what it was you were trying to express there, so that's in part why I was curious.
I'm saying that I thought the ascribing it to white supremacy was bullshit.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter what he calls it. His actions matter.
But I'll tell you the thing that struck me. It wasn't, and I'm an American Jew, it wasn't just the people who had that view. It was actually people who really are anti-Semites, who said, oh my goodness, Go Elon, this is fabulous. And that actually was the thing that really set me back. I said to myself, what's going on here?
Andrew Ross Sorkin really tries to appeal to Elon as a friend here. A not great friend who doesn't remember his name all the time.
Whatever friendship we have, not great.
But I love the way he frames this question. Who cares if you're not anti-Semitic? Actual anti-Semites think your tweets are awesome. Doesn't that bother you? And Elon really starts struggling here. His mouth gets all dry. It's Wario all over again. And that's why I wanted to go down this rabbit hole real quick, because cult leaders are consumed by magical thinking. And I submit that all cult leaders believe in magic words. Like saying open sesame to unlock a secret cave, cult leaders use magic words in their own mind and in the minds of their captive followers to conjure a rhetorical get-out-of-jail-free card. Psychologists and cult experts have an actual term for this, the thought-terminating cliché, defined as a form of loaded language intended to end in argument and quell cognitive dissonance. Let's see this in action.
I did, post on my primary timeline to be absolutely clear that I'm not anti-Semitic.
See, haters, he just said he wasn't anti-Semitic, and it was official, and also he said more things. Remember how he went on to say more things? Yeah, good luck trying to slander Elon as some sort of anti-Semite after that. Okay, that was probably just, he didn't mean it like that. And if he did, it was just a joke. And okay, maybe it wasn't like a joke, but it was just to trigger the libs. It has to be that last one. I mean, it's not like he's a Nazi.
Your bestie took a major L.
For those of us not in the cult, it's easy for us to see that Elon is lying. We're judging him on his repeated numerous actions and words and political contributions over the course of years. And like, what's Elon gonna say right here in this instance? Yeah, you caught me. I'm a proud white nationalist who wants to create a legion of super babies with my gourd-shaped ding-a-ling and eradicate races I deem lesser? No, he's gonna use the magic words. Nuh-uh. I do think you can essentially boil down the magic words to just nuh-uh. Because to people who are already in a cult, the cult leader's actions become irrelevant at a certain point. All that matters is their justifications for their actions. A cult leader's words are everything. It's with those words that they create a simulacrum of our world, create fictional problems and sell fictional solutions, and unfortunately, our human brains are wired such that we desperately do not want to change our mind. We naturally protect our existing beliefs and are less likely to trust information that contradicts it. Once you believe something stupid, it's very hard to unbelieve it. So if Elon just says,
I'm like a pro-Semite.
To the cult of Elon, that's as good as gospel. The word made flesh. That nasty, pasty, sweaty flesh right there.
I'm too stupid for this conversation.
It makes sense, though.
No, I'm sure it does.
To the cult victim, the cult leader is what he says he is at any given moment. Any past statements do not matter, and really cannot matter, because with one proclamation, he can rewrite the past. To give a non-Elon Musk example, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and for the past 100 years, the leadership had outlawed beards in the United States. It's a long story. And everyone knew within the group that it was stupid, and finally, last year, they did away with this doctrine, the current leadership. So for generations, a Jehovah's Witness had had to believe that beards were immodest and unacceptable for true worshippers.
Well, like Paul, are we willing to forego our rights regarding, for example, wearing a beard, if exercising that right might even possibly stumble someone?
And then the governing body had a meeting, and in the time it would take a Jehovah's Witness to refresh jw.org, the teaching had changed to the exact opposite of what it used to be.
The governing body does not have an issue with brothers wearing beards.
Now, a JW has to believe that beards are fine, just as they had to believe they weren't. They have to believe it, and their brains do want to believe it, because of evolution or something, I think. Elon has witnessed this phenomenon firsthand, obviously. He knows his fans believe everything he says, even if he just recently said the exact opposite.
I'm too stupid for this conversation.
It makes sense, though.
No, I'm sure it does.
To a certain subset of people, Elon's words are magic. Whatever he says currently is true. Which is why, now that he's the richest, most powerful man in the world, he doesn't bother doing interviews with critical journalists anymore. Because, as we've been able to see here, when he puts his magic to the test in front of a skeptical audience, the sleight of hand is laid bare, which is, as we can see from his face and posture and crotch grabbing, making him feel angry and embarrassed.
Well, first of all, I did clarify almost immediately what I meant.
There is a need to clarify this matter.
You know how earlier I showed that clip of L. Ron Hubbard? I was just searching for B-roll of an interview that he must have done. I assumed he did an interview at some point, and this looks like an interview with a credible journalist. But it's not. It was staged. Scientology arranged this whole thing, presented the reporter as if he was an honest journalist, when in reality he was a Scientologist. It's all smoke and mirrors. And Elon was an illusionist who, at the time of this interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin, remember that's what we're talking about, was being exposed as a hack fraud, to borrow a term of art. The illusion that this man was clever or wise or good at his job or insightful or inventive or necessary to the future of society or even like a semi-decent human being was all unraveling. And anytime he gets up in front of a less than totally friendly audience, he starts inadvertently tugging on the yarn. The one thing, the only thing Elon Musk was involved in that arguably benefited society in any way at all was being the CEO of Tesla. Not designing the Tesla cars, by the way. He's not capable of doing that. But, like, being the Tesla guy, that was good, right?
Tesla has done more to help the environment than all other companies combined. It would be fair to say that, therefore, as a leader of the company, I've done more for the environment than everyone else, any single human on Earth.
Whoa, it was really good, apparently. It's a good thing I have Guinness on speed dial. I've got a new world record to report. Most amazing special boy who saved the whole world better than anyone on Earth ever. What a cool guy. To briefly give some lore, after the tweets, we'll call it, Elon went on an apology tour. He later denied that it was an apology tour.
And then you make this trip to Israel. You have advertisers who've left the platform. People calling.
Well, the trip to Israel is independent of it wasn't some like apology tour. I want to be clear.
But he went to Auschwitz with Ben Shapiro and tried to spin it as like, look, I'm going to a concentration camp. There's never been a Nazi in a concentration camp. It definitely seemed like an apology tour because he kept saying he was sorry and he went on a tour. But now he's saying, no, it's not that. And check this out, Andrew. I got a little necklace now.
And the trip to Israel was planned before any of that happened. It was neither here nor there. Do you see this thing?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you know what it is?
I do, because I actually followed your entire trip to Israel.
Right.
Again, Elon Musk knows that he's talking to a journalist with a stack full of papers in his lap who has clearly been following the tweet saga, but I think this is important, right? In Elon Musk's mind, nobody who has heard his excuses could possibly not fall for them. If somebody has heard his full ridiculous excuse for his actions, then they would believe him. They just would. And anyone who doesn't believe him is just lying. They just don't know the full context yet. And so once again, we have an instance where Elon Musk is expecting Andrew Ross Sorkin to be delighted and interested in this little necklace that he has here. And no, he knows already because Elon has already been trotting out these same lines.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it is?
I do, because I actually followed your entire trip to Israel.
Right.
Why don't you tell everybody?
This says bring them home. The hostages.
Nothing. He gets nothing. That's a gem right there. I think we should watch it again.
It says bring them home. The hostages. It was given to me by the parents of one of the hostages.
Now, it's at this point I have to lament that Andrew Ross Sorkin is a part of the liberal lamestream media. Throughout this whole thing, Andrew Ross Sorkin pushes back really effectively against Elon Musk's anti-Semitism. But when it gets to Israel-Gaza, Andrew Ross Sorkin accepts a lot of Elon Musk's claims at face value, or I guess maybe charitably just hopes that they speak for themselves. So with the benefit of hindsight, and me not actually sitting 10 feet away from Elon Musk sweating and freaking out in front of me, I'm going to rebut a few things that Elon Musk says here.
You know, I certainly don't mean anything anti-Semitic in that. The nature of the criticism was simply that the Jewish people have been persecuted for thousands of years. There is a natural affinity, therefore, for persecuted groups. This has led to the funding of organizations that essentially promote any persecuted group or any group with the perception of persecution. This includes radical Islamic groups.
Elon's sort of speaking in code here. I'm pretty sure what he's saying is that any group that is anti-Zionist or pro-Palestinian is by necessity anti-Semitic. I am not anti-Semitic, I'm anti-Hamas.
Everyone here has seen the massive demonstrations for Hamas in every major city in the West. That should be jarring.
Well, that might be jarring if that's what was happening. But, and I am legitimately realizing this in real time, this is an earnest, off-the-dome realization. We have to go and play around if that's not what's happening.
That is not what is happening. That is not what is happening.
The massive demonstrations for Hamas in every major city in the West.
Yeah, but Elon, that's not what's happening. There were not massive demonstrations for the terrorist group Hamas in every major city in the West. There were protests against the mass slaughter of innocent civilians in Palestine. And then he says a number of pro-Hamas organizations received funding from prominent people in the Jewish community.
But if you generically, without condition, sort of fund, if you fund persecuted groups, in general, some of those persecuted groups, unfortunately, want your annihilation.
Oh God.
And what I meant by that, when I subsequently clarified, is that it's unwise to fund organizations that support groups that want your annihilation.
Oh, Jesus.
Is this coming across clearly?
Yeah, no, it is. My question to you, though,
I think logically this makes a lot of sense.
He thinks it makes a lot of sense. He thinks he stuck the landing on his weaselly excuse. Why isn't everyone clapping like they do at home?
Is there any part of you, I mean, just tell me what happens, though, once all this happens.
Let's say you fund a group, and that group supports Hamas.
Hamas. But that's not what's happening. Turns out many Jewish people also hate genocide. Jewish Voice for Peace is the largest progressive Jewish anti-Zionist organization in the world. They're not anti-Semites, they're just anti-Zionist. They are anti-ethnostate. And the thing with Elon Musk is that he is very pro-ethnostate. That is what he wants to do to the United States of America with white people. This is where Philosemitism comes into play. Elon sees Jewish people as an other, and so he likes the idea of all the others just having their own land somewhere else. Not in my backyard, he says. But Elon Musk, with just changing a few words, has managed to, in real time, twist this narrative.
Hamas, who wants you to die. Perhaps you should not fund them.
Right. But you do.
No. Everybody who gave him pity applause should be ashamed. In real life, he retweeted a Nazi thing and said he agreed with it. But in this new reality he's crafting in real time for his cult of personality, he's just a good old guy looking out for Jewish people. Like, hey, I think that Jewish people are cool. Did you know that terrorists are funding you? I'm just trying to help you out. Just trying to be a good guy. Who knows if Elon really believes that? This is me speculating, but I think from Elon's point of view, he's a persecuted group, a billionaire, and there are groups who claim to be persecuted, like everyone like us who isn't a billionaire, who maybe do want their annihilation. For the record, by the way, I've had Luigi up there for years. I have video evidence, literally. Like and subscribe and go through my previous videos for proof of Luigi. But most people don't think that we should, actually explode billionaires into space, although let's not take that off the table necessarily. Comedy's legal again. Rather, annihilate them through legislation. Tax them more. So Elon has his own little persecution narrative going on. I mean, he does have millions of people telling him he's an idiot every day, but he shouldn't have made himself the most famous person in the world. Okay, next I want to talk about this part that really feels ominous and foreshadowing in hindsight. Elon Musk, of course, has totally taken over the government's data. It was, in fact, his first act as fake president.
A whistleblower complaint filed by an IT staffer at the NLRB claims that Doge gained access to closely guarded data, including case files, and that could have led directly to a, quote, significant cybersecurity breach.
And that was not an accident. In fact, he talks about how important data is right here in this interview.
Let me ask you a question about XAI and what you're doing, because there's an interesting thing that's different, I think, about what you have relative to some of the others, which is you have data, you have information, you have all of the stuff that everybody in here has put on the platform to sort through. And I don't know if everybody realized that initially.
He was trying to warn us.
What is the value of that?
Take note, he's not doing a little stinker face. He's genuinely thinking over his response. First.
Yeah, I mean, data is very important. You could say data is probably more valuable than gold.
Now, hang on a second. I thought that well-articulated feedback from a trusted friend was gold.
A well-thought-out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. You could say data is probably more valuable than gold.
I guess that first kind of gold, the accepting criticism part, is more difficult. But why invest in the fool's gold of trusting criticism and having to do the hard work to improve as a person when you could invest in a totally different, new digital kind of gold that allows you to shape reality itself and drown out all of those criticisms that you don't really feel like working on?
Here to explain cryptocurrency is Weekend Update financial expert Lloyd Ostertag.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, now,
the Doge Father.
Okay, Doge Father.
I keep telling you, it's a cryptocurrency you can trade for conventional money.
Oh, so it's a hustle.
Yeah, it's a hustle.
24 minutes in is when Andrew Ross Sorkin goes to his notes for the first time. So he's just been raw dogging this interview for like 25 minutes. It's amazing. And the thing that he finally brings up is word of the day. It's devastating.
You were on a podcast about a month ago. And you said something that struck me. You said my mind is a storm. I don't think most people would want to be me. They may think they want to be me, but they don't know. They don't understand. But is your storm a happy storm?
No.
It's not a happy storm.
No.
Am I wrong, or is Andrew Ross Sorkin just asking him, like, hey, are you just a sad, pathetic little man? And Elon's response is, I got a million ideas. Got a million of them. No problem.
My mind often feels like a very wild storm. I mean, I have a fountain of ideas. I mean, I have more ideas than I can possibly execute. So I have no shortage of ideas. Innovation is not the problem. Execution is the problem.
I've got a million ideas.
Got a gajillion ideas. I got this one thing for, it's for a jet that's electronic and supersonic and it takes off vertically.
I mean, I've got an entire design for an electric supersonic vertical takeoff jet, but I just can't do that as well. I've had that for 10 years.
This, for some reason, when I was casually watching this interview 6 weeks ago with no intention of making a video, is where I started to really lose my mind and spiral a little bit. It's a little hard to keep up with what Elon is saying sometimes because he does stop and stammer and restart, which is fine. I do the same thing. This video you're watching, I just cut out all the stammering. But it seems to me that in this moment, Elon is trying to describe why he said that thing about his mind being a storm. He says, my mind is a storm because it's so full of ideas. He confidently says he has a million ideas. And then less confidently, it says that a couple more times.
I mean, I have a fountain of ideas. I mean, I have more ideas than I can possibly execute. So I have no shortage of ideas. I've got a million ideas. I mean, there's a million things.
It seems like he was trying to stall and think of something, and he goes, well, like with one idea that I just randomly have off the top of my head.
I mean, I've got an entire design for an electric supersonic vertical takeoff jet. I've had that for 10 years.
And I just had that one lying around for 10 years. I'm too busy. I can't find the time. It would drive me insane. If you've never seen this interview before, am I off base? That's what it seemed like he was saying to me. But I was wrong. Apparently that's that's not what he meant.
I'd love to work on something which is a vertical takeoff and landing supersonic electric jet.
So yeah, he's brought this up before apparently, and finding that made this whole thing even funnier, because after stammering about how many millions of ideas he has rattling around in his stormy mind, he can only think of one, and it's one that he's already been talking about for 10 years, and actually 13 years by the time this interview took place.
The idea of an electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft has been in Elon's mind for a very long time. In his latest tweet on the topic, he strongly expressed his desire. He wrote, "I'm so dying to do a supersonic VTOL electric jet, but I already have way too much on my plate. Any more work and my brain will explode."
I felt like I should fact check this, considering it's coming from Elon Musk, the guy who did not invent PayPal, electric cars, spaceships, or Twitter, but somehow seems to get credit for all those things anyway. I thought, oh, it'd be funny if somebody had already invented the electronic thing he just said. So I went to fact check it, and yeah, you know what happened.
The Lilium jet is a marvel of engineering. This eye-catching aircraft revealed in 2021 for a fully electric 7-seat vertical takeoff and landing aircraft.
Yeah, electronic vertical takeoff jets already exist. To be fair to Elon, an eVTOL that is supersonic does not currently exist. But to be fair to reality, that's not an idea. Hello, Elon, it's me, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Hey to you, good friend. I, being an aerospace engineer, have invented the world's first vertical electronic takeoff jet. It's remarkable, really. We're one step towards flying cars. Is it supersonic, though? No, that is actually currently not possible, given the technology. Everyone come in here. I just had an amazing idea. That was totally my own idea. It's for a supersonic what did you just say? Electronic vertical takeoff. Electronic thing he just said. I looked into this a little bit, but this video is not about jets. Suffice it to say, apparently it would be really difficult to do a supersonic version of thing he just said. Everyone seems to agree that if somebody did invent such a thing, it really would be a huge idea that would bring us closer to flying cars that you would see in the Jetsons or whatever. And that would be an idea, wouldn't it? Hey, I cracked the code and figured out how this currently seemingly impossible technology can function. I figured it out. That's an idea. An idea is not what if thing that already exists, but supersonic. Don't ask me any questions about how to build it. A thing he's been saying for years?
I think the optimal sort of air transport solution is a VTOL electric supersonic plane. I've been sort of toying with the design for an electric supersonic vertical takeoff and landing electric aircraft for a while. And I think there's a particular opportunity for a supersonic vertical takeoff and landing electric jet.
And it is always brought up in the same context. Somebody says,
"You've got so many ideas, Elon. You got anything you haven't told us about yet?"
And he says the same thing.
I've thought about planes for a long time, but my brain will explode if I do planes.
People who actually build the things Elon Musk just later takes credit for have gone through why this is really improbable, and Elon Musk probably is not going to be able to pull this off. But Joe Rogan just eats this up.
Now, have you ever looked at planes and gone, I could fix this? I just don't have the time. Too busy making.
I have a design for a plane.
You do?
Yes.
A better design?
Probably. I think it is. Yes. Yeah.
Who have you talked to about this?
Now remember, the true answer is many, many interviewers over the course of, at this point, 5 years.
And I've talked to friends.
Friends?
Friends and...
I'm your friend.
Girlfriends and...
You can tell me.
Super different energy in this interview.
Well, the exciting thing to do would be some sort of electric vertical takeoff and landing supersonic jet of some kind.
Vertical takeoff and landing, meaning no need for a runway. Just shoot up straight in the air and then...
Totally eats it up. But he has a great question. Hey, are you gonna actually take this idea, this amazing idea you had, down to the factory to build it? And immediately Elon has to back up well, it gets a little complicated.
When you have this idea about improving planes, are you gonna bring this to somebody? Or you just chuck this around?
Well, I have a lot on my plate.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
The electric airplane isn't necessary right now. Electric cars are important.
I don't know if Elon Musk does have a million ideas. It would frankly be news if he had even one idea that was original and his own. He's talked about this electronic supersonic vertical takeoff jet thing a lot.
It's possible to create a much better airplane. I have a design in mind for a vertical takeoff and landing supersonic electric jet. If I were to start another company in the future, which I don't think would be anytime soon, it would be to try to create an aircraft that is a supersonic vertical takeoff and landing electric jet. I think that would be the thing to do, is to do an electric aircraft. You want to do an electric aircraft? Yeah, and
supersonic.
Wait a minute, that last guy was Andrew Ross Sorkin. This same guy has heard this exact same excuse before, many years ago. This is where I started thinking about Frost Nixon a little bit. Nixon was not expecting Frost to be a hard interviewer, because the whole thing was a publicity stunt. Both guys got paid a ton of money. Nixon made over $500,000 just by doing that interview. It was not an act of charity. Frost was not known for hard-hitting interviews. He was known as a daytime entertainer on crappy television shows. Andrew Ross Sorkin is clearly a really smart guy. I mean, he wrote a book about the financial crisis that I think they might have even made a movie of. But he is also a part of this liberal establishment media that constantly perpetuated, unquestioningly, this myth that Elon Musk was a genius. I believe that's why Elon Musk felt comfortable doing this damage control interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin in the first place. Most of the prominent tech interview figures like Kara Swisher were totally riding the Elon train up until the exact second it became clear that he had just totally lost his mind, and so for their own best interest, it was better to distance themselves from him. It works out in our favor, weirdly, because Elon is clearly caught off guard by how challenging this interview is.
Well, no.
But I have been obsessed for the last 5 or 10 years with the fact that the media just sucks at hard-hitting interviews, and by that I just mean asking basic follow-up questions that anybody would think of. What I really like about this Andrew Ross Sorkin interview is he asked every follow-up question that I would want to ask Elon for the most part. And it's impressive because I'm playing armchair interviewer and reviewing the tape. This is what journalism is supposed to be. This is what an interview with a powerful media figure is supposed to be like. For the most part, all of these guys have gotten a free ride for such a long time. And when this finally did happen, we were so mired in shit. The zone that we were in was flooded with shit. This was just another crazy thing that happened on the internet that day for most of us. But now it's like, this guy might have all of our data on his fucking laptop for all we know. And it's pretty unacceptable to me that there's only a handful of interviews with this guy at the height of his powers that really pushed back on who he had become, on this myth falling apart. I think that if interviewers took this approach all the time, we wouldn't be in this situation, because when people push back on bullies, bullies reveal who they really are. Elon cannot claim to be blindsided by any of this. What else was anyone going to talk about when he walked into this thing? But he still is seemingly unprepared. Everything just happens so fast now. Everything is falling apart so much faster than we can register. And so as I've been recording this, Elon Musk has stepped down, seemingly, from his government role so he can focus on Tesla. But he only did that after he personally got all this data he was after, all that gold, and after he had functionally shattered the federal government. This 2023 interview is another instance where Elon Musk is insisting that he's going to redouble his efforts to focus on Tesla and all these things, and he's going to get it under control, but also fuck you, I'm not going to do anything different just because you told me to, but also yes I am, I'm nice. Now you might think that's a pretty reasonable place to end this video, but this is not a reasonable video. If you can believe it, the last thing we were talking about as regards Andrew Ross Sorkin was the part where he makes Elon lose his mind by asking him why he's so sad and pathetic, paraphrasing. And Elon's own descriptions of his mind get even more dark and absurd.
But I can remember, even in happy moments when I was a kid, that it just feels like there's just a rage of forces in my mind.
What?
A rage of forces in my mind, constantly.
A rage of horses in my mind constantly. I'm not really a business guy. Quick question. Is it good if the face of your company is on a public platform screaming fuck you to people and then later saying that his mind feels like a rage of horses?
So these demons of the mind.
Holy fucking shit. When he said the word demon, it's like it summoned a demon. Listen to this. No, we've heard Elon glitch a few times throughout this thing. That's not a stutter that a person makes. That is a dark agent of the Lord Satan himself trying to escape the fleshy, decaying confines of Musk's body.
Demons of the mind.
He's got a storm, he's got horses, he's got demons. The entire book of Revelation is raging just beneath this guy's hair plugs. Another scary, ominous foreshadowing moment. Sorkin asked a great question about AI being trained on copyrighted content, and how some of these AI tech bros at the time were saying that it was not being trained on copyrighted content. Elon says that's a lie, that AI definitely is being trained on copyrighted content.
So you think it's a lie when OpenAI says that this is not, none of these guys say they're training on copyrighted data?
That's a lie.
It's a lie,
yeah,
straight up.
It's a straight up lie.
Okay, so let me ask you a second question.
Yeah, no, you're underscoring how fucking stupid you are, you idiot. Just wait for him to finish his question.
All of the people who've been uploading articles, the best quotes from different articles, videos to X, all of that can be trained on.
Sorkin asks him, well, there's going to be lawsuits, right? Elon's answer,
I don't know, except to say that by the time these lawsuits are decided, we'll have digital God. So ask digital God at that point.
What?
These lawsuits won't be decided before in a time frame that is relevant.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think he should have asked, what do you mean by digital God? Are you digital God, or are you saying that AI is going to become God? Or are you saying that the time frame isn't relevant because if you win the election, you'll be able to get rid of all the lawsuits? That's what I wish he would have asked, but, you know, there was a lot going on. Last but not least, Sorkin starts asking Elon Musk about this shift to the right. He's changed a lot over the years. He used to be a liberal darling. This car company he loves so much was made famous because it became a status symbol for well-to-do liberals who cared about climate change. So why doesn't he like Joe Biden? Well, unlike me, as you might have guessed, it doesn't have anything to do with his stance on Gaza, that's for damn sure. No, this is Elon Musk, so it's much more personal and petty and sad and pathetic.
Let me ask you a political question. And I've been trying to square this one in my head for a long time.
Yeah.
In the last 2 or 3 years, you have moved decidedly to the right, I think.
Have I?
Well, we can discuss this.
Okay, he's doing a little stinker face, and we know it's a fucking little stinker face because, you know, he's now the Republican de facto president, or maybe he's stepping down for a while, but probably not.
You have moved decidedly to the right, I think.
Have I?
I think that you have been espousing and promoting a number of Republican candidates and others. You've been very frustrated with the Biden administration over, I think, unions and feeling like they did not respect what you've created.
Well, I mean, without doing nothing to provoke the Biden administration, they held an electric vehicle summit at the White House and specifically refused to let Tesla attend. This was in the first 6 months of the administration. And we inquired, we literally make more electric cars than everyone else combined. Why are we not allowed? Why are you only letting Ford, GM, Chrysler, and UAW, and you're specifically disallowing us from the EV summit at the White House? We'd done nothing to provoke them. Then Biden went on to add insult to injury and publicly said that GM was leading the electric car revolution. This was in the same quarter that Tesla made 300,000 electric cars and GM made 26. Does that seem fair to you?
So it all comes down to petty grievance. Isn't that sad? The whole reason why he has this lurch to the right is because he's mad that he didn't get invited to a little party at the White House with Joe Biden. You hear some chatter in the audience here. Did you hear that? Yeah, I think that was the crowd being like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
And by the way, I had a great relationship with Obama. So there was not a...
But then there's
I voted
this.
for Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand. Okay?
Oh, okay. So he can't be racist.
So let me just ask on a personal level. I can see it in your face. This hurt you personally.
And it hurt the company, too.
Okay, no, the thing that hurt the company was Tesla's cars being shitty and Elon being insane. Andrew Ross Sorkin is about to underscore how pathetic Elon's personal grievance politics are. Because no matter what his feelings on Joe Biden are, the election was going to be between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And Donald Trump said this: for whatever Elon Musk's personal grievances are, the Republican Party are a climate denialist party. So there's some cognitive dissonance here, and Andrew Ross Sorkin's going to hold his feet to the fire.
You've devoted at least the last close to 20 years of your life, if not more, to the climate change, trying to get Tesla off the ground, in part to improve climate. You talked about that.
A real right-wing motive.
Repeatedly.
God, far right, if anything.
I understand that. And then it's
reverse psychology next level.
He said that as a joke, but apparently that was his actual strategy. How could I be right-wing? I'm the Tesla guy. I just went to his fundraiser.
Well, no, but so here's then the question, which is how do you square the support that you have given? I believe you were at a fundraiser for Vivek Ramaswamy, for example, who says that the climate issue is a hoax, right?
Yeah, I disagree with him on that.
This interview really should have been a career ender for Elon Musk. It sure would have been for any of the rest of us. Elon Musk claims to have two singular issues: climate change and free speech. Sorkin says, I would have thought this would have been such a singular issue for you that it would have disqualified anybody who didn't believe in climate change. And
I would think that the climate issue is such a singular issue for you that actually it would disqualify almost anybody who didn't take that issue seriously.
Well, I haven't endorsed anyone for president.
Elon always says he's a free speech absolutist, but around the time this was coming out, he was delisting platforms like the New York Times and NPR, labeling them state media, but not Fox News. And Musk really trips over his saggy scrotum on this one.
Any organization that refuses to buy a subscription is not going to be recommended.
But then what does that say about free speech? And what does
Well,
that
it
say
says
about
it's like
amplifying
free speech
certain
is not exactly
voices?
free. It costs a little bit.
Right, but that's it. But that's an interesting.
You know, it's like in South Park where they say, you know, freedom isn't free. It costs $1.05 or whatever. So, but it's pretty cheap. Okay. It's low cost freedom.
Free speech, but it costs money. Well, I don't even know what to say to that, really. Except this out of context clip from Elon Musk. Comedy's legal again.
I'm a Nazi.
A few months back, I saw this channel pop on my feed that I thought was really cool. It was this lefty channel that analyzed debates or hard-hitting back and forth between left-wing people and right-wing people, and then he would pause and discuss the interviews. Then I saw another one of those channels pop up that was almost identical, and the guy sounded basically exactly the same. Then another one, and now I've seen like a million of these things. It's just AI slop. It's more AI slop. Apparently, grifters have figured out that if you just post an entire interview with minimal commentary every once in a while, you can copy and paste somebody else's work and make a buck. And that bummed me out, first of all, because AI content is scary. I don't like it. And also because I actually really like the idea of analyzing interviews. There's something really fun about a hard-hitting interview, about somebody being put on the witness stand or on trial, especially when it's with a genuinely important figure who has been lying or doing harmful things. But I also wonder if that's why this interview wasn't a career-ending thing at the moment, because we had just gotten so used to content. Disastrous train wreck debates and interviews and social media posts are a dime a dozen. Our zones have been flooded with shit. Interviews. But clearly, if anybody like you or me had an interview like this on behalf of our company, we would be fired if we performed like this in public, started insulting people who supported our company and saying, fuck you. But for Elon Musk, it was just another day at the not office, because he's never at the office, except for the one he lives at, maybe? Stay tuned for our next episode of Frost Nixon. I have to spell it like that for copyright reasons.
Right, but I got a couple more questions for you.
I mean, basically a black rectangle.
What should we think about that?
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's an honor to be a gay. I'm actually making history tonight as the first person to murder my mother. Or at least the first to admit it.
Listen.
You know. No.
Yeah, all of that.
Yes.
What are you doing?
What do I like? I'm obsessed. And I'm stuck talking to you. Weirdo. Now, what's next?
That was not brought to you by artificial intelligence, just so you know. Bye.